my screen share. We are live. What I wanted to do is I've actually been getting a ton of questions just really around how do I do X, Y, or Z? And so in this live broadcast, what we're going to do is we're actually going to, first of all, this is the first time. So this could be a complete and total failure. It could actually be successful. So it's hard to say what's actually going to happen. So first thing, what we're going to do, I do have this live. We should have a live event going on here. I do have it doing, it is under Google Hangouts as well. So what we're going to do in this first live broadcast is we're actually going to recreate this VLOOKUP. The reason we're doing that is essentially you can do a ton of things. And so there's a ton of stuff that you can do just by mastering a VLOOKUP. So what we're going to do here is we are going to just start a macro. Again, if you have any questions or comments, the reason why I'm doing this is because you can actually put those comments in. You can do a chat here. So if you have questions, you can actually chat me while I'm doing this live. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to add a new macro. So we're going to do module here. Now, essentially, I have this kind of preset, which is kind of nice. And as you know, a macro, the VLOOKUP will actually come in here and it'll look up within this range. So essentially what we're going to do, and again, chime in if you have questions or comments. I also have Super Chat on here as well. So if you do want to kind of buy me coffee, you can do that as well. So we're going to sub VLOOKUP. And we are going to walk through this, which should be fairly awesome. So the first thing we want to do is we need to be able to figure out what the range is. So we need to take this table array, which I have as F5. We're going to do VLOOKUP. We're going to do dim range as range, and that's typically what I do. I'll typically do dim them as range. A couple things we got to do here is we're going to end that range. So we're going to go set rng equal to f range b6. The other thing that I thought about doing, just so you know, everybody that's on, is if you guys do have questions, so I'll probably start these off as saying, hey, this is what the plan is. I've got one scheduled for next week, so we can kind of go through that as well. But essentially, this is going to be kind of like a live tutorial where you guys get to kind of get my time, you get to chat with me, etc. And hopefully this will work. Hopefully you'll be able to get some questions answered. So again, we're declaring this range. Let's just make sure that this is going to work. Now we're going to come down here to my immediate window. I'm going to hit select. You got to spell it right. It's loud. I got to turn that down. It's so annoying. Okay, so we go range select. Come on. Oh, I hit B6. Range dot. Oh. Have to put a value on there. Essentially what's happening here is if I don't put that together, it's actually going to select the range that I have selected. Now let's just make sure. Okay, so it is selecting the correct range. So now what we need to do, now that we've got that range, there's quite a few different ways that you can do this. I'm a big fan of when you use range that you actually do rng. You go through each cell in the range. Not necessarily the most efficient if you've not necessarily the most efficient if you have a many number of columns. But essentially what this is going to do, I got to put for each. Essentially what this is going to do is if you go through each cell within that range, essentially it's going to go from left to right, starting at the upper left-hand column, essentially just reading that all the way through. So what we need to do now is we need to say if cl.Column equals 1, then and if blah blah blah. So we got that rolling. What we're going to do is we're going to go cl.Select, and obviously you guys are watching this live, so it's a little sloppy, but essentially column. I didn't do what I wanted it to. Go figure. Again, if you have questions, make sure you chime in. cl.Column. Okay, let's do range. Gotta get a little tricky here, actually. This is a little more intensive than I thought it was going to be. So cl.Column is equal to rng.Cells 11.Column. So essentially what's happening here is CL is going to give me the column. This is kind of tricky. May make a little bit of sense, but if we come in here and we go cl.Column, I got to put a question mark here because it's going to return me what column it is. It's in column 6. Got to throw in a little bit of magic here because I need to know what cell 11 is. So if we come in here and we go like that, that's going to give us 6. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, this cell actually falls within number 6, but this actually, I actually need to know what column my cell is in as well. So if we run through this is going to give us, if we go through quickly, you'll notice that when it does not equal 6, it does not go down, and then it just goes down like that, which is pretty awesome. So now what we want to do is we need to say if cl.Value, I actually don't need to put value, but it is nice because that is coming across as a cell, is equal to range range B5, then we're going to do something. And quote on there. And we are good there. And if, so what we've got here is if those are equal, then we're just going to put a stop in here. Now we know that Davis is going to show up on the first one, so let's do Leal just for fun. We just went through that and notice that we got there. So now we actually, our value is equal to Leal, so we're good to go there. So now what we would do is we would actually go over to the column index. So column, so essentially what we're going to do is we're going to go rng.Column, rng. Rows cl dot. Essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to do an offset. We are going to go cl Gosh, I'm all over the board today. We want to put our output here. So we're going to go R range B 10 B10 is equal to cl.Offset. And offset is going to give us this. Essentially, we're going to offset by 0, and we're going to offset by the column index, which is range B6. Here, because it did not close that out. And if we come in here and we come up here, it will give us, see what that is here. It needs to be B7. Funny how code will only do exactly what you tell it to do. I got an error. Doesn't want to get down here either. Oh, okay, it's offset, not off. Okay, and we should be good to go. A comment in here, and it's not liking CL. Oh, it's because I'm not in the. All right. So now we have that returning a 0. Now you'll notice that I'm over 6, so it's going to actually kick that error out. So if we actually put in column index number 2, it would be just fine. So let's do that. We're going to run that again, and you'll notice it's going to give us Karina. Karina will actually be right there, or it gives us a sales rep actually. Oh, because we're offsetting it by that number -1. Essentially what it's doing is it's saying I want to go over 2, so I'm going to offset by 1, 2, and it takes me over to Karina, gives me a sales rep, so I need to just subtract 1 there. So if we go F8, we run this through, it's going to give us, essentially it's going to give us Karina, her name. Now, that in essence gives us a VLOOKUP. Now we're not necessarily, if you can actually master that single thing where you're going to go through and you're going to use that kind of offset to find items. Now typically when you're using ranges, it's actually a little bit harder. To use a range than kind of using a table and starting up in A1. Typically when you build out stuff, you're going to build stuff out in A1 anyway, which is kind of a good way to do that. But let's kind of add in these coloring pieces that we were doing that I had in here. I don't know. Let me just show this real quick. So if I click on this, it's actually going to run what's my code here in module 1. But essentially, when I click this, it's going to color everything. So let's add in those pieces so that we can actually show you how that color is going to work. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to make the range, the color, rng.Interior.Color is equal to rng, our range C6.Interior.Color. And what we're going to do here, first of all, what we need to do is we need to clear the formats. So range interior.color So what we did here is first thing we did here is we cleared the colors. So we went columns, you know, E through whatever, E through Z dot interior color is equal to range I like to use this where I basically take the interior color from another cell. Kind of a, I don't know if it's a good habit or a bad habit, but what it does allow me to do, it does allow me, I spell interior right. What it does allow me to do is it does allow me to convert these, and I don't have to figure out what that color is. And actually, that's not going to work. Let's do ClearFormats. So what it did is it changed it all to a color white. Don't like that. So we're going to do another way. So we're just going to clear formats. This actually works if you don't have any formatting going on. Here we're going to set these to no color. Sorry, I'm a little anal about some of the stuff. Fill, no color. There we go. I don't like it when that stuff goes on. So what we've done is we've got our range here, and we're going to set that range equal to the interior color. You'll notice that that turns that black, highlights that area right there, which is pretty nice. Now what we need to do is we need to go down every column. And essentially, if that column is in column 1, we're going to highlight it to this color right here, which is the color that we're going to go down that left-hand column. And so that's pretty easy. We're going to cl.Interior.Color. See if I can spell it right this time. Is equal to range. Fortunately, live, you guys get to see all my mistakes and everything that I screw up. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. So we're going to go, that is range C as in 5. We're going to go Interior.Color as well. And let's just see if this works. So that is equal to column 1. We're going to go from here. And you'll notice that we're going to go down all this way. Now we're going to see. Now it's actually found. We do need to figure out how to color that offset right there. So what we're going to do there is we are going to do cl.Resize. We're actually going to use resize. I actually like resize. The one thing that we're not actually going to do in this video is we're not actually going to turn the stuff red. You'll notice that I add in some NAs and some other fancy stuff over here. If we go beyond, we're actually not going to do that. But we're going to resize this. It's going to be the same number of rows. It's going to be the number of columns, which happens to be this. And actually, in this case, when we're resizing it, we actually don't need to. We actually don't need to subtract the 1. So we're going to go do .Interior.Color. This over here. Interior color is equal to range C7 interior color, and we are good to go there. So you will notice I'm actually putting quite a bit of this stuff together, kind of on the fly. So that gives me my 2 columns. It gives me my and it gives me my solution. So it's a pretty nice little solution to the VLOOKUP. I'll actually be adding this code. Looks like we do have a couple viewers on here. If you do have any questions or would like to look at something different next time, definitely please let me know. And I'm going to basically end this at this point. If you guys do have any questions or comments, put them in the comments on here. And I hope you guys enjoyed this.